Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. Today I'm joined by, without question, the most demanded guest in Snapchat's history, and that is KMBEST. KM, my man, it is great to finally have you back on the Snapchat. Fun fact, KM is one of the only guests, alongside Regis Kilbin, that we've had on the Snapchat alongside with Cozy when we did like a trio stream. Like, this was way long time ago. This was like when the first...
2023?
Yeah, like an incredibly long time. My man, how have you been? It's finally good to have you back.
I really appreciate being invited back on. I've been sitting on the outside, sort of jealously watching everyone else go on the Snapchat. Been like, all right, well, Alex and I just have beef now, so it's good that we can squash the beef. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do so. No, obviously, I'm very happy to be here. I'm KMBEST. I play a lot of Marvel Snap. I play it at a relatively high level. I do okay for myself. Check me out if you like seeing competitive Marvel Snap and a lot of Marvel yapping. I do a lot of talking. It's kind of my actual skill set. That's pretty much me, though. It's a pretty simple pitch. I'm okay at the game, and I'm okay at talking. That's what I got.
I love the fact that you say like that you're pretty good at Marvel Snap. For the record, for anybody that might not be aware, like we're talking like rank 1 good at one point. Like, so we're talking like incredibly talented. Usually rank 69. I think you usually target rank 69 from my understanding.
Well, I mean, the thing is, over the course of Marvel Snap's lifespan, which I think people underestimate, it's been like 3 years. The funny number has changed from 69 to 67. So it's gotten a little bit harder to be that, right? But by 2 ranks. Now it's a little bit harder to be funny and get free internet clout for just like hitting a funny number. But yeah, generally speaking, like when I say pretty good, I mean pretty good. Like, I think I'm a pretty good player. I think I can help you get to be a better player. I've been rank 1 before, but I would consider myself very much in my Michael Jordan on the Wizards arc. I do okay for myself, though. I think I'm all right. We have a ton to talk about, though. And a lot of those things are way more important than whether I'm rank 1 or rank 67.
I can't believe that the number 67 is now more popular than 69. Like, that is making me lose faith in humanity as a whole, to be honest with you. But that's a whole other discussion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you look at both of us, you can see a little bit of gray hair, right?
Yeah,
That's
from that
why.
Specifically.
Yeah, no, like we see things changing around us, and our reaction to that is fear and suspicion. And frankly, this new 67 number, 67, it's never going to touch what we had with 69.
I know.
It's never going to do it.
I just like the fact that I know someone somewhere is listening to this on their TV and their kids keep hearing us say 6-7 and they're like, oh, they're going crazy, right? The other thing that I've noticed is like this dragon is definitely encroaching on my physical space. Like I feel very...
You're a little warm.
I'm getting...
Like a little overheated. I really like when you told me you like, oh, I need to get the art ready for this episode. I didn't expect it to be like this is great art, and I don't want to denigrate the art, but it does sort of look like he's spitting a really big hot Cheeto at you.
I think that's exactly what the artist was going for. This is exactly the goal.
You could like eat it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, precisely. All right, you are right. We do have a lot to talk about. This is like a massive episode, and I couldn't have a better guest here. And guys, I got to tell you, down below, you're going to have to make sure you go to KMBEST's YouTube channel. There is so much amazing content there. Be sure to subscribe. You're doing me a favor. You're doing KMBEST a favor. Why, Alex, how am I doing you a favor by subscribing to KMBEST? Because he is keeping the content community alive, man. There are very few content creators on the grind like KMBEST is.
I gotta tell you, people talk about like, oh, content creation, like it's so hard. Like, look, I am not on the grind. You have a real job and a YouTube channel and a family. You're on the grind. I have 2 cats, a dog, a loving partner, and no kids. It is a lot easier for me to do what I do than for you to do what you do. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to you say that.
While I appreciate that, I think that at the end of the day, we're all grinding, right? And I often think about it like, you know what? There's people out there supporting their families, doing like, you know, crazy amounts of shift work, overtime pay. They're grinding too, man. It's each one of us is putting the work in.
They're grinding too. No. They're grinding. I'm not. Like I've worked in a let's say unnamed sandwich shop before. Trust me, I'll take this any day of the week. Like, this is I don't want to even put myself in conversations with people that have real jobs. I'm not about that.
Fair enough. All right. So long story short, guys, make sure you are subscribed to KMBEST down below. And we are going to be talking about a review of last season. Because, listen, last season was actually a really interesting one. Before we get into the previews of all the new cards, listen, we're going to talk about the new Season Pass cards. We're going to talk about the Series 5 cards, the Series 4 cards. We're going to talk about all of it today. But I think that it'd be beneficial to take a little step back in time. Because if you're watching this on Monday or Tuesday, there is a chance you might be like, okay, hold on. Do I get the new, or it's not the new one. Do I get the Season Pass prior to expiring? Is Weapon X worth it? We're going to talk about whether or not Weapon X is worth it. And also we're talking about some of the standout cards from the past season. So Cam, I'm going to pass to you first. Do you think Weapon X is worth it if someone is holding on to their $10 US debating whether or not they buy into the Season Pass at the last minute to get the Season Pass card?
No Season Pass is ever bad value. Just sort of fundamentally how they're set up, they're good value as long as you're playing the game, even a small amount. You will get your money's worth from a Season Pass better than you get it from any other product in Marvel Snap. Weapon X, the card, is not very good. Now, the real question for whether or not you're like, oh, do I want to go out and buy a Season Pass is almost totally unrelated to the card specifically a lot of the time. It's related to, are you going to make other purchases? Because the floor of a Season Pass is you get a Series 5 pack that you roll badly on if the card is bad. That's effectively what would be happening. Weapon X is not the worst card of all time, but it is probably like a bottom 3 Season Pass card of the year. I think that's a reasonable statement for where its power level is at. Even in that context, if you're going to be making one purchase in Marvel Snap, the Season Pass would be a better purchase than anything else you could do in terms of the value you get for your money.
Oh, there's no question that's true, right? From a value perspective, the Season Pass, especially consider like the weekend missions and everything that comes along with it, is seriously the best value in the game. And if you were to say, okay, well, if I want to buy a card for $10, no Series 5 card you're gonna get for $10, right? Like the amount of value you get for that $10 is pretty up there. Now, what's fascinating is I think that your perspective on what Weapon X is doing might be a little different than the more casual perspective, because in your brackets of MMRs, I'm thinking you're seeing a lot more Shadow King, right? And the result of that is that a card like this, which is a Shadow King magnet, is going to feel way, way worse, right? Overall, though, I absolutely do agree. This card, at the end of the season, all the stats across the entire season would showcase that the best versions of Destroy are not running Weapon X. Right? It's that simple. If you're going to play the top version of Destroy, you're not playing a Weapon X deck.
I think it's less about Shadow King, because you're right that there are like some effects that happen there where the better you are at the game, the more Shadow King pilled you are right now. So this card gets worse. But the real thing that happens when you play Destroy with this card is you just find that it's not worth going off curve to establish this guy when you could be setting up for a turn 3 Destroy with a couple of other 1-drops. You could be snowballing with your Deadpool. The thing that keeps Destroy really sort of consistently functional as a deck is that a lot of its point output is on the final turn of the game, which means it can manipulate priority pretty well. So no matter what changes, if you get a big enough Deadpool and a big enough Null, you're going to beat whatever it is the new hotness is. You can always do that. But you need to be using your turns to make that happen. And in order to establish Weapon X, he takes off from that. You have to take time to get this guy on the board that you should be using setting up your more powerful game plans. And that is largely the thing he runs into with Destroy. It's not necessarily that he's like actively bad or anything like that. It's just, I don't think he makes the deck better. I think the stats probably back up that he doesn't make the deck better. And I think that if you are going to get a card, it should probably make the deck that it goes in better instead of worse.
And it's pretty fascinating to think that like a card like Weapon X itself, like literally can get over 20 power, right? In and of itself, right? Like it's kind of crazy what it can do individually, but as a whole, in a 12 card package, that deck ultimately does not overperform a Moira X Headpool, Deadpool style list, which is kind of fascinating. And that's a good lesson to be learned for like sometimes in a vacuum, an individual card that could be a 220 somehow still doesn't quite make the cut in terms of a competitive shell, right? It's more than a sum of its parts, I suppose. So anyways, yeah, so Weapon X, I want to take this to another direction though. Were there any cards throughout the course of the season that really stood out to you from a surprising standpoint? I have a couple. Like, I actually thought this season as a whole was particularly strong. I think that really the only one that landed on its face a little bit, I would suggest, is Phantom X. I felt like Phantom X wasn't great, although I definitely saw the potential there. But if I had to pick one specific card that genuinely surprised me way beyond what I expected, I would say it's Marrow. I thought Marrow was way better than I expected. I expected to love Aurora. I expected to love Maverick. Marrow, though, I did not expect to enjoy playing, and I literally did. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on some of the cards from the last season.
I enjoyed Marrow a fair bit, but I'll counter with another 2-3, and that is Chamber, who is single-handedly responsible for Ramp being as good of a deck as it is right now. I guess you could argue, okay, yeah, it was the War Machine change, which, don't get me wrong, the War Machine going to a 5-cost, Enchantress going to a 5-cost, that stuff helped that deck a lot. This 2-3 is why that deck is as good as it is. And that deck has just consistently been a top performer throughout whatever things have been thrown at it. It has consistently shown up. And a lot of why it does that is just at every spot on the curve, it's playing a really big guy. This is like a 2-11. You put it in a lane with a couple of 5s. You go this, you play Electro, you blink the Electro, all in the same lane. You play a big guy in there. You have 35 power. That's turn 5. Turn 6, you play presumably the Infinite and a War Machine. So you have 35 power in one lane. That's just going to be too big for people to deal with most of the time. 27 wherever else you want it. That formula works, and it works because of him.
I like this call out a lot because honestly, Chamber, of all the cards released last season, might actually be right now one of the more meta relevant ones that just literally is slotted into an archetype where at the 2-drop slot, like those types of ramp decks, like you were adding things like Jeff, I'm not like recently, but like you were adding like random things at the 2 slot. Now you have an actual powerhouse at the 2 slot, which I think has drastically increased the win rates, drastically increased the performance. And you're right, the change, I don't even want to say nerf, the change to War Machine from 4 to a 5 cost definitely does help Chamber out a lot. The last kind of one I just want to shout out, because we have so many cards we got to talk about today.
Can I just say one thing that's I think is really interesting across? We just talked about Weapon X Wolverine, we talked about Chamber, and the way you phrased it sort of triggered something in my brain, which is you have to think about these cards as value over replacement, right? The reason Weapon X isn't good in the Destroy deck is because you're not getting more out of him than you would from something else in there. He is providing negative value over replacement. The reason Chamber is so good in the ramp deck is they just wasn't a card that was doing this before. There is no good replacement here. So his value over replacement is however many points bigger he is than Jeff, which is like 8 most games. It's huge. And so like that concept I think is really important in evaluating how a card is actually going to land. And I thought Chamber would be like pretty good. I didn't think he'd be this good.
Yeah, like I expect him to be pretty decent, but like I'm talking like maybe 3.5, 4-star decent. He's definitely over 4-star. He's like in that 4-star range.
4.5, easy, yeah.
Yeah, like he's definitely a really good card, and he's definitely the surprise of the season, right? What I was going to say is if this season, I want to do a quick callback, not even from this season, I got to say that like Spider-Man Noir, really, the change to Spider-Man Noir, the increase of the floor, I've really liked playing it. I played Spider-Man Noir in a Maverick deck. I was super excited to play Maverick. I love Maverick. It helped Galacti quite a bit. It helped Surfer quite a bit. Are they S-tier decks? No, but still really like it. And I want to say that I think Spider-Man Noir might actually be a cool card now, and it's not even the last time I'm going to bring him up today.
I definitely agree with that. I'll tell you the sort of pessimist take on Spider-Man Noir, though, is like they released the card. It didn't work very well, and they got this rework of it, and it almost makes me wonder, like, why wasn't this the original card? Like, I see this card and I'm like, this is such a better card. It is such a better design. I don't understand how in 2 weeks you were able to just go into the lab and be like, nailed it, fix the entire card. This could have, 2 weeks earlier, this could have been the card. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, this is such a better card, such a better design than what it was before, that I almost wonder how the other card even got as far as it did.
I wonder, honestly, if this was like the original design and then they're like, yo, it's too hot, bring it down. And then they released it and it's like, yo, this is poo, bring it back up. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's an unbelievable, like for a 2-week design job, that's just really impressive, honestly. I really consider that like a genuinely very well put together thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, last season was pretty successful. I like Aurora, fastball special, solid. Wild Child, we'll see where he ends up. Weapon H finally starting to make some waves in discard. The Weapon H, Apocalypse, and Conchu versions of discard somehow performing better than I would have expected in the long term. So all these cards have largely been good. So overall, a good season, KMBEST. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do think we'd be doing a disservice to talk about the season without talking about the best card in the season. I don't know if you had it scheduled. You were like going to segue into this ahead of time, and I'm blowing it. But Maverick is the best card in the season. And
My 5-star, baby. Let's go.
He's a beast. Like, this guy is a beast that honestly feels like he will only ever get better in the future. And I think thinking of cards like saying they'll only ever get better in the future, you could say that about pretty much any card. It's kind of a cop-out mode of analysis. But this is a guy who is a linchpin of any deck that wants to buff anything. He is the bridge between I would like to enable something to get bigger and then pass that on to something even bigger. Whatever you're doing, if it has a Brood, a Sebastian Shaw, a Captain Carter, it has this. This card is arguably more important than that. It is an absolute all-star, an absolute stud. I didn't see the Jocasta stuff coming. I did see the Surfer stuff coming. And generally, I just think this is a card that has a lot going against it in the high-level metagame. A lot of the high-level metagame involves Shadow King, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Deafening Chord. That's some popular stuff. This is still the best of the cards that came out last month. And in arguably the most hostile possible metagame for a card like.
It's true. The metagame is so hostile towards this. The amount of times I've had Maverick Deafening Chorded is actually sad, to the point where like I hear the sound and my blood immediately starts boiling. Like, at least with Cosmic Ghost Rider, you got the animation and it's like late enough in the game where you're like, oh, like maybe I could have activated this earlier. With Deafening Chord, it's just a direct kick in the pants that feels so awful, but you know what? It's okay. We knew that card was going to be good, and it makes perfect sense that it is good. And you know what? We might even be talking about transitioning into the new season, more about cards that, maybe one drops might have some more value upcoming, and maybe Deafening Chord will be brought up once again. But in the meantime, KM, we got a whole new season to talk about, my man. An entire new season of cards coming to Marvel Snap. And it starts right now with, and I'm scared because I'll be honest with you, Cam, I don't know how to pronounce like 5 or 6 of the cards here. And so people are going to roast me so hard in the comments. So this is what I'm going to ask, okay? Top voted comment, just a polite explanation as to how to pronounce these cards, as opposed to like the constant harassment that I'm sure both of us will take over the course of the month.
You didn't tell me that was going to happen. I'm sorry. When you invited me on this podcast, I thought I was free to mispronounce names. I didn't realize people would hold me accountable for this.
Okay, first of all, I'm like, no, I've built my entire career on mispronouncing names.
True.
I call Luke Cage Nicolas Cage exclusively, which confuses people because Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man Noir. And so like they don't know what I'm talking about. And I've called Maro. I'm still messing it up. Like in this moment.
Okay, Maro's kind of crazy, dude.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly.
You're really pushing it with that one. I don't even know how you got there. That's amazing.
Is
it
because
like a French
people
thing?
I don't know. People are like, yo, it's like bone marrow. But I keep forgetting how to say bone marrow. And I'm like, it's bone marrow. And I'm like, oh God, no, it's not. And then, so anyways, buddy, apparently I can't read.
Bone marrow is like a holiday in like a dark fantasy novel. Like no, it just sounds like it's like we're going to bone marrow tomorrow. It's like the holiday where we remember our ancestors in my
sounds
upcoming
like a D&D
12
campaign.
Book. Yeah, bone marrow. Yeah. It's like a evil castle that like a Dracula type lives in.
See, I love that we can talk about this because I know, like, first, I love books. And I know you do too. But you're also, I believe you're the one who talked me out of reading The Name in the Wind because you said it wasn't finished.
Yes.
I bought the book.
I will stand by that. He's never going to finish those books. And also, the longer you let them percolate, like they're great to read, right? You read them, they're a great read. The longer you let it percolate, the longer you start thinking about them. And everyone who's read these books has been thinking about them for 10 years because he's never going to release Doors of Stone. The more you realize that the main character is just like the best at everything consistently in a way that is perhaps unsatisfying. It's like they're really good books, but also you will be signing yourself up for a lifetime of pain, I think. of Patrick Rothfuss not releasing Doors of Stone. Which won't happen.
Okay, so anyways, I bought the book, but still don't read it.
Well, if you have the book, you might as well.
No, but then I'm going to be emotionally upset.
Yeah, join me in the lifetime of pain.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
You know what they say about
Sounds
misery,
awful.
right?
Yeah, she destroys the cards and makes them re-reveal.
Yep, no, that's exactly what they say about misery. That's true.
Okay, so I'm glad we're on the same page. All right, so we have the 5/8 Shou-Lao, which is the one I'm going. Shou-Lao the Undying, which is the premium season pass card. I like how you said sure, which makes me wonder if I just said it wrong and I've said it wrong. You're like, sure.
No, I just literally don't know. I was going to call him Shou-Lao. I'm sure it's actually something with the actual pronunciation of this almost certainly involves Chinese tones that I do not know. So I'm going to Americanize it. I think you're going to Canadianize it, and we're going to arrive at two different but equally incorrect pronunciations.
Okay, that's perfect. I'm glad we're establishing this nice and early. I'm going to go Shou-Lao, the Undying, the premium season pass card. It is a 5/8 that reads, on reveal, give the last character you played +3 power. For each turn, you played 2 or more cards. KM, I'm going to give you the floor here, but I'm just going to preempt and say that I think this card is really good.
Oh, that was do you want me to? I can elaborate on that, but I also think this card is really good. Now I'm gonna go with Shou-Lao because that rhymes. So I've Americanized it, you've Canadianized it. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell us what it actually is. This is a card to me that recognizes the learned lessons of Zombie Giant Man. People forget that Zombie Giant Man wasn't always a good card. They OTA'd effectively 3 power onto the dude and also buffed his package. And when I say learn the lessons of Zombie Giant Man, what I mean is it's really hard to make a good 5 in Marvel Snap. A lot of 5 drops tend to be one of 2 archetypes. They're either like a 5/6 to 5/8 that has like a beneficial effect for you, or like just a really big guy. The way I like to refer to this is 5 drops are either legions or devil dinosaurs. And the devil dinosaurs are typically pretty weak to anything that blows up a big guy. So they've been in a pretty awkward spot for a very long time. The legions are the ones that tend to see the most play, your cannonballs, your hellions, things of that nature, even though generally I think you could argue cannonball is his own little thing. This guy is like if they made Gilgamesh, but he was good. Is sort of where I'm at with this card. It's
Gilgamesh
like, what
is
if,
good.
I disagree. This is like, what if they made a 5-drop card that was actually worth doing outside of your like hyper specific archetype, right? Because the way this card works, it does push you in a certain direction. It's just that the direction it pushes you is exactly the direction that is already profitable for you to go in. You have a Merlin werewolf deck. You want to be playing this. You're playing Merlin, you're playing werewolf, you're playing Prowler. I think one of the things people don't notice about this card, they read this and they shortcut it. This card is not Thena. It doesn't say you have to play exactly 2 cards. It says you have to play 2 or more. So you're not gated on the amount of cards you can play. You can do a bunch of stuff. So when I look at this card, I see this is a 5/17, 3 procs, or a 5/20 with 4 procs. That is what I am looking at when I see this card. I see 2 bodies, 5/17 to 5/20. I look at Merlin werewolf decks that are currently playing, frankly, kind of embarrassing top end in Annihilus Sentry. There's nothing wrong with Annihilus Sentry. It's a fine thing. This is way better than that. Like, this is just a bigger thing to be doing on the card, I think, a lot of the time. I do note that, Merlin werewolf decks get to do cool stuff with Hood. They get to do cool stuff with Sentry. It's not like this card is free there, but I would imagine some kind of Merlin werewolf Shou-Lao deck is just going to be really good. Perhaps even in the context of being a second Zombie Giant Man and a zombie version of the Merlin werewolf deck. So you could have this and an Absorbing Man. Plenty of things seem very plausible with this card. It looks to me like maybe the first Elite 5-drop they've made that is going to come out as an Elite card.
Yeah, so there's a couple things to touch on here. First of all, thanks for trying to demonetize us by talking about the size of Giant Man's buff package. That was unfortunate. But
I didn't even think about that. Like, that didn't even occur to me. If it had occurred to me, I would have leaned into it more. I didn't even didn't notice.
I noticed enough to bring it up like 5 minutes later, so there's that, I guess. That gives you a good indication of what my maturity level's like. I will tell you, though, that I absolutely agree with your assessment, right? Like, the Werewolf by Night package with the Nihilist, Annie by Night, or whatever you want to call it, is actually, like, top tier right now. It's doing amazing work, and the fact that you have a Season Pass card that literally can almost just like cha-ching slot into an amazing archetype right now that's doing super good, that already should give you some degree of confidence, right? Because while some Season Pass cards require like a lot of inherent cooking, like Weapon X was kind of an example of this. You could have taken Weapon X and just slammed him into the Destroy deck, but you knew that was kind of shitty. Like, you knew that wasn't going to quite work, right? But like, yeah, you tried to cook with it, you tried to put like the Shaunas in there, the Squirrel Girls and stuff, but that actually ends up being a different thing altogether, right? With this, you're basically taking that Annihilus package and you're pulling it out and you're supplanting it with something that honestly is going to do something amazing. And I like here that like Second Ender clearly learned lessons from past mistakes. It's targeting the last character you played. In a deck like this, you're going to be playing lots of skills. You can play them with impunity. You don't have to worry about them, or you can throw them out there. You mentioned Prowler, who I think is going to be great here, obviously, because, you know, with the amount of movement happening in a deck like that, Prowler's going to love the fact that it's going to be able to play some free skills down, which are honestly fantastic. And at the end of the day, this is going to be a very high impact card. I think it's going to be a legit build around. And the other thing worth mentioning here is like Merlin, Deafening Chord, even the Majestic Wingbeat, right? Which I think is going to be less relevant. I'm just saying there's all these skills that have been added to the game, and the skills themselves have been legit. All the Prowler skills are legit for the most part. And so as a result, like, I think this card is going to find a very natural synergy here. And I want to throw one more deck archetype to you. I know people thinking about like an obvious Kitty Pryde one, but I want to throw Thanos for a second. I think Thanos is a place where you naturally are playing many cards at once. Those stones, you're milling through them pretty fast. They're trying to get through your deck and stuff like that. And so does something like this replace, actually you, Steven, used to play Devil Dinosaurs in older Thanos style decks, right? I'm not even sure what's a 5-drop in Thanos right now. I'm just trying to think what I would play. But anyways, this could potentially be a fit in Thanos.
Usually people are playing Thing First Steps for an Aurora package with Thanos is typically how people are building it right now. This does seem better. Like, my question would be like, are we willing to polarize the deck in that way? Because this card's going to be really bad if you don't start out strong. Like, it's not going to catch you up, but your good draws are going to be even more overpoweringly good with this card, which is notable to me.
Is this a little too snowbally maybe for Thanos?
I think largely my biggest thing is like, I feel like Thanos is held back by itself, not by the card quality of the other stuff that goes in it. I think it's a fine enough archetype that could potentially do some interesting things. But when I think about building around Shou-Lao, I think it's like card 11 or 12 in your Thanos deck, where it's like card, I don't know, 5 in your like Absorbing Man zombie deck that is playing this in it. Like, it is a card that I think can go in Thanos, and I wouldn't be surprised to be in Thanos. But I think it kind of conflicts with A, being an Aurora deck, or B, being a Spectrum deck. And that's kind of what a lot of Thanos decks have been built around recently. I can see it in the Aurora version, but it's a little bit harder to envision for me than I think it would have been before it became clear that Thanos was a little bit sub-meta power level a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair, right? Thanos has seen so many changes. At the end of the day, he's always inevitable. He's always going to make a comeback. Like, he's always going to have his time to shine, right? But it has been a while. I was hoping that Aurora was going to be the moment that really brought Thanos forward. And I think Aurora helped, to be honest with you. I thought that Thanos versus Aurora was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. So we'll have to see. Now, there is an obvious one. Kitty Pryde. You mentioned Thena before. Where do you think Kitty Pryde is going to fit in with Shou-Lao?
Kitty Pryde is one of my, I guess, probably 3 favorite Marvel Snap cards on the planet. I love the idea of playing Kitty Pryde decks. I worry that it just simply won't happen for a couple of reasons, but a lot of them are just down to the fact that there's a lot of really good 1-cost spells and a lot of cards that generate 1-cost skills. Sorry, I called them spells. I'm sure nobody's ever made that mistake. All of those cards work better with a Werewolf by Night. And so it's hard for me to envision playing a Kitty Pryde deck when the scalers for Kitty Pryde, things like Angela, Hope Summers, that kind of stuff, are just so much worse than even like a Nick Scratch Werewolf by Night deck would. And I feel like if I'm looking at one of my favorite cards in Marvel Snap and I'm like, I'm not even sure this compares well to Nick Scratch, it might be time to revisit Kitty Pryde and give her a little bit of love in this context, because it does feel like a season that is made for her. There's another card in here that's like, this has got to be it. But I wouldn't be surprised if her role has just been totally supplanted by these very efficient, cheap card one-cost generators. There's the skills. There's the Kate Bishop arrows. So you have Prowler, Merlin, Kate Bishop. There's so many things that can fill your curve the way Kitty Pryde is meant to do, such that you kind of don't need her now. And that makes me really sad, because like I said, she's one of my favorite cards they've ever made.
I love Kitty Pryde. But what I love about Kitty Pryde, I'm going to take this chance to talk about this again. I hope someone from Second Dinner is listening. If you can bring us back to the OG Kitty Pryde, like the one that you only had out for like a day or two before it broke the game.
Yeah.
If you can bring
the one that crashed 10% of the games that it was in.
I don't care if it's crashing 60% of the games. I want that card back. Can we do that somehow? Like, is that the buff we're waiting for? Like the actual like tactile feel of bringing her back and forth and actually having fun playing Marvel Snap with Kitty Pryde, one of my favorite cards ever, that got immediately deleted, physically deleted from the game. Cam, you're laughing. I'm not laughing.
I'm laughing because it's like, I am so sure that is a non-functional thing, and I'll tell you my theory for why it's a non-functional thing. There's no way they can do that. Here's my source: they can't do Twitch drops.
Oh damn! I have
like
no
there's
argument.
Just no way. It's not happening. Like, I look at that and I'm like, that would be awesome if they tried to implement that. It would take a team off of what I presume is an important thing. There's just no way. There is absolutely no way. I love that card too. Remember, but like everything was so wrong about her. You remember you could play her through Wave?
There was so many. It was completely
like
broken.
Wave used to set every card to 4 except Kitty Pryde, because she existed in some sort of liminal space between the hand and the board, and the existence of that liminal space. It's great flavor for her power set. It's amazing. I strongly suspect that it would crash every single game it was involved in.
Yeah. Kitty Pryde, the original Kitty Pryde, existed between the game and like the code. Like it was like the servers were like just begging for mercy with the. A lot of people don't even remember. So original Kitty Pryde, you'd actually have to like click her and bring her back to your hand and then replay her. And she was like actually higher stated, wasn't she? Like a 1/2 that
she was
did
a
plus
1/2 that got +2. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
my
so
absolute god
stupid.
queen. Just the greatest card ever made. You'd play a Wave, right? Wave used to set every card to 4, but because Kitty Pryde was on the board at the beginning of the turn, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen for her. So you'd bring the Kitty Pryde back to your hand and play her out, because that's the mechanic that she would do. Your death would get discounted, and then you'd play Death, Kitty Pryde, and a 6-drop, and that was your Thanos endgame. It was amazing for 3 days. And then they were like, we cannot have this card exist.
Yeah. So while Kitty Pryde's doing that, the servers are like, can't do,
Yes.
and like just dying. That's a whole other meme on and of itself. But anyways, yeah, we got to move on. Oh, with that being said, if we're going to talk about Kitty Pryde, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm just throwing it out there because I've thought about this. Is buffing Angela just buffing Kitty Pryde?
Yeah, but I'd rather buff Kitty. Like, I think that buffing Angela probably carries more inherent risk because she's a series 1 or 2 card, I believe. And so like there is like a whole different bit of new player experience to think about when it comes to buffing Angela, where buffing Kitty Pryde, I think, is basically they're going to have more latitude to do that because they don't have to think about the early series experience. And B, I'd rather just the buff goes on the card that I actually want to play. Like, that's sort of where I'm at.
That's completely fair. All right, now that we've been completely derailed, back to Shou-Lao. Star rating, I'm going 4 to 4.5 range for me.
To me, this is a 4.5 star card. I think he's just going to be in a billion mid-range decks. I think he looks a pretty obscenely strong. I find it hard to believe that he's not very good. That is contextual, right? Like, let's say they obliterate Merlin and Werewolf off the face of the earth. Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be a fair bit worse. If they get rid of the best cards to play with this guy, I would imagine him being a fair bit worse. But Merlin Wolf Pile is already pretty good. This guy is a pretty good thing to be doing in Merlin Wolf Pile. I think he will be a pretty consistent part of future metagames, barring catastrophe. I think this is just a very strong card.
If Merlin Wolf Pile gets too good, start playing some Mercury Kingpin. I don't know, man. We'll figure it out, I guess. That was a joke, Cam. I know already you're like, bro, like, what is it?
I'm sitting here like, what's Kingpin do?
Yeah, I mean, what's Kingpin even do? I can't even
I don't know
remember
what
his
the
stats.
text
I think he's a
card
1/2, isn't he?
Yeah, weird. Anyway.
Yeah, anyways, he exists. Okay, this new card, the Super Premium Season Pass card, it contains only English-based words. So I think I'm going to be good on this one. I'm actually thinking of ways how I can mispronounce it.
Marrow's an English word, right?
Thank you for that, Cam. I appreciate that.
Just making sure.
Dragon of the Moon, the Super Premium Season Pass card, a 3/2 that reads, on reveal, steal 1 power from even-costed cards in all hands. And I'm just going to throw this out there as a random thought. All hands is a Marvel Snap free-for-all game mode incoming. I don't like how many people do they expect to be playing Marvel Snap at once. They kind of stood out to me, no?
I gotta tell you, it did not stand out to me. I read a lot of this stuff as like, they just have to make sure that you actually read what the card is. So like, if I were a game designer, what I'd be doing is I would capitalize everything that like someone would be like, what's this? And so all hands, I think, is really important to capitalize before you put this into your deck. And you're like, I'm going to steal from my opponent. And then you run it in a deck with a bunch of even cost cards. And you're like, why is it stealing from me? For me, and I thought about this pronunciation for a while, I'm going with Dragoon of the Mon. I think that's right. I think this card is really bad. I don't see it at all. Like, we go from a very exciting and powerful and interesting season pass card. This is probably the biggest delta in my feelings toward a season pass card and then the super premium card that I have ever had. Like, normally I'm like, oh, the season pass card is better, but not by like the most massive amount. The super premium card has almost never been better, but it's usually been pretty good. This guy is just like, I don't think I'm going to be playing him. And if I'm wrong about that, I'm not sure how I'm wrong about it.
I'm glad you brought this up because like I was looking at this card and I always try to think ahead of like what kind of decks I'm going to be building for it. And with this deck, with this card, all the decks I'm looking at building are terrible. And I'm like, would I ever like, am I actually building a Master Mold Ronin deck for this? And I'm like, you're laughing, but seriously, what the hell are you supposed to do with this?
No, I'm not laughing. That's what you build with it. Like, that's the real thing you do. Like, that's what
all right.
you
I
do.
thought it was
It's just
crazy.
like, oh, okay. No, like, yeah, like you're not wrong. It's just like, they're like, this is a fairly mediocre card that has almost all terrible homes. Just a bad combo.
Like, I don't think it goes in Affliction because you're always going to play Hazmat instead, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, it doesn't go in Affliction. Master Mold on curve into this is, like, okay. Like, I guess it's okay, really, right?
It's
like,
probably
it's
like a
not
pretty
bad.
big guy. Like, you play like a 3/9, a 3/10 or whatever. You're into that, right? But it's just like, is that fundamentally changing anything about this deck or this archetype? Am I going to be playing Master Mold Supergiant? You could talk me into that. You could talk me into being like, I'm going to play Master Mold Ronin Supergiant, and this is just like a really big guy. But one thing that I think is really notable about this card is it gets worse if you play it later. And a lot of good cards are really good to be played on the final turn of the game. A lot of the power of a 3-cost card is you play this and a Shadow King or whatever, right? On the final turn of the game, and this guy's really big. But on the final turn of the game, both you and your opponent have gotten all the cards out of your hand that this guy would be stealing from. It's like the anti-clutch gene. The later in the game this card gets played, the worse it is.
Bro, hear me out. Turn 2 Master Mold, turn 3 Grandmaster +1. Okay, turn 4 Supergiant, turn 5 Ronin. Actually, no Supergiant. I screwed this up already. No Supergiant.
Okay, all right.
Turn 5 Ronin, and then Mystique into Dragon of the Moon. Or Dragoon of the Mon.
Dragoon of the Mon, yeah. That is kind of cool, but like, you look at all this work you've gone into for, I don't know, like, ballpark it for me, right? Like, this is gonna be, let's say, 9 power. The Mystique is gonna be, let's say, 16, right? Something in that range. That's cool. Like, those numbers are cool, but like, you're kind of putting in like a combo dex level of work for the output of like, I played a Shou-Lao. Like, it's like, exactly. What's like, I don't know. This guy's weird. Like, the fact he kind of just seems like you only ever want to play him on turn 2 or turn 3 and only after you play a master mode. And the rest of it is just like, I don't know when I'm trying to do this, what I'm trying to do with this card.
Okay, so I'm going to preface this by saying that what I'm about to say is half a joke, but I'm actually 100% serious at the same time. So I'm giving this card 2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can see a world where this is 5 stars. Do you want to hear this scenario?
Please.
This is the most broken card this season. If we've completely misunderstood what this text says. On reveal, steal 1 power from even costed cards in all hands, and by all hands, each person in each card has 2 hands, right? But do dragons have 4 hands? Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're stealing power from each individual hand, yeah,
right?
Okay,
yeah, I'm totally with you. Arguing about whether a wing is a hand is definitely key to this card functioning. I thought you were going to go a different direction. Steal 1 power from even costed cards in all hands. And what it does is it looks at every concurrent game of Marvel Snap being played and steals 1 power from even costed cards in all hands. That's a 5-star card. I'm going to give this a 1 star, though.
Okay, that sounds about right, honestly. 1 star is really low to me, though. Like, 1 star is like this. Like, 1 star was like, what was the last 1 star I gave? I can't even remember the last time. I gave some absolutely despicable cards 1 star. Like, it's not that bad. Like, 1 star is like unplayable garbage. Like, just go to bed that week.
Yep.
All right. Cam has spoken. Okay, I'm actually trying to remember what the last 1 star card was for me. It was I can't remember. It's been that long. Jeez. Someone in the chat will remember. Someone in the chat remembers things more than I do. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
In the chat, I mean, in the comment section. Different platforms, different times. But we do have Lockheed. Lockheed is a purple dragon. He actually looks cool. It makes me wonder, like, first of all, where these are from. I'm very unfamiliar with all of these. I mean, the characters that are coming up next.
Lockheed is Kitty Pryde's pet.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. She has a pet dragon named Lockheed after... The X-Men have like an SR-71 Blackbird. That's what the X-Jet is. And she named it Lockheed. So it is literally named after like the military arms contractor Lockheed Martin. That is like the origin of Kitty Pryde's dragon friend, who literally she just has a dragon. It's like a pretty small dragon that like lives on her shoulder. But if you look at some Kitty Pryde variants, you'll see Lockheed in there. So the ability here having a Kitty Pryde synergy, they're doing that for a good thing. I also just really want to point out your graphic designer really on point here. Seeing the name Lockheed and using the chains is so sick.
Why
chains and locks? That's so amazing. That's really good. That's kudos to your graphic design team.
Well, thank you. I'm taking all the credit for something I have nothing to do with. Absolutely. I will say though that Lockheed is a 2/1 that reads, end of turn. If you played a 1-cost card this turn, afflict an enemy card here with -2 power. A couple things worth noting here. First, the word here applies to the actual affliction, not necessarily the playment. The playment of the card. We're going with that word. Cam, does that word exist? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
It does now.
It does now. Thank you. We're inventing things here today.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good, man. I don't know. I lean pretty good. I don't think, like, I've written 4, but I think it might actually be more like a 3.5. Like, it's like an unenthusiastic 4, but I don't think this is a bad card, man. I think it's pretty legit. I think this is the Kitty Pryde support that we were maybe looking forward to, right? This has to be Kitty Pryde support.
Well, here's the problem, right? Okay, we're going to do a Kitty Pryde support, right? It's Kitty Pryde support time. Problem. This works better with all the cards that do Kitty Pryde better than Kitty Pryde does. You know what's a 0-cost card? You know what's a 1-cost card is every spell that Merlin generates. This is just saying add 2 power to every time you play a Merlin. That's cool. I do want to do that. It's just not making me play Kitty Pryde.
I love the fact that Cam is so competitive that he refused. Like, I'm trying to give you reasons to play your favorite card. You're like, no, I'm not having it. I don't want to play this.
Like, my 2 favorite cards in Marvel Snap, I think, are Kitty Pryde and Anti-Venom. And
Anti-Venom's a hot call.
I try. And I just, like, I do play a fair amount of Anti-Venom still just because that guy rocks. And I just like throwing Anti-Venom loot cage into whatever I'm doing. And it's like, that's cool. It's really hard to justify Kitty Pryde. It is so hard, and I wish it wasn't. Glenn Jones, I beg of you, please intercede on behalf of Kitty Pryde, who is not only probably my favorite card in Marvel Snap, probably my favorite character in Marvel. I think you could argue.
Glenn, if you don't heed these words, I don't know what else we can do. Like, that is the most heartfelt that I've ever seen Cam in my entire. Look at his eyes. Look at Cam's eye. Like, he's not joking. Like, he needs you right now. We need you to help Kitty Pryde. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and of course for taking our banter seriously. There's a couple things.
Dude, you broke me at the end. I was trying to do the face. I couldn't.
You were holding up so good too.
I did so good.
The puppy dog eyes. We're working for a while. I think we got him. Okay. We got Glenn. He's crying. He's emotionally engaged now. That's perfect. Yes. Okay. So yeah, there's so many, we talked about before. There's so many impactful one-costed skills, specifically skills. The Merlin skills, Deafening Chord, right? It might be Cope, but like, I'm going to throw this out there. Like, what about Clea? Like, is there a world where like we can get some sort of buff action? Clea getting buffed. You're playing out the Flames of Faltine or whatever it's called. Another word I'm going to mispronounce for you. Boom, boom, boom. Affliction there. This is afflicting things. Affliction all over the place. Like, it's got to be a world where that works, right? Not sure what that deck looks like yet, but just throwing it out there.
I think that world was the world before they nerfed the data mined new Shang-Chi, who we'll probably get to. But Clea into that version of the rings actually probably does do what you're talking about. Now, it's also probably, heinously broken. So they had to do something about it, presumably. But I do think we were actually probably pretty close to living in that world, assuming you believe data mines are real, which half and half, right? A lot of them are, but sometimes you'll get like old Eson, which is just like the world's fakest card. Do you remember that one?
Or what was the one that like you get, what was it? 16 cubes doubles the cubes gained.
Mephisto, yes, the world's fakest card. Yeah, there are some that are in there just to be like it seems pretty clear that there's just like cards in the file that are just like, it does this function. Like, we just want to know if this works, and not like we're gonna release this card.
I wonder if they like intentionally release like super psycho stuff and data mines on purpose just to gauge like reaction that they know is gonna make no sense. You know what I mean? Like a 2/3 that reads like on reveal, delete your opponent's collection. Just throw it out there.
They should do that. They should actually put that in a data mine at some point. The problem is like whenever they do something fun, someone on the internet is like, I can't believe you spent any time on doing something fun instead of fixing whatever thing. Right. So like whenever they make like a joke, someone's like, you spent time developing this 3x value Darkhawk emote that could have been spent on nerfing this card that beats me instead. Like it's that one. I think you're going to see a lot. And so I think if they try to do a joke there, it's going to be like, oh, I don't know, man.
But the one time that like Glenn and the team, they made like, remember when like the robots took over and they did the OT notes and robot speak? I was one of the ones that like did that OT video at like 2 a.m. and completely like missed like multiple important pieces of information within the robot speak because I didn't pick up on like the clues being, so like I can see why they're like, yeah, they're just not ready for this. Like we just need to tell them, like that's all hands needs to be capitalized. They need to know that we're taking we're stealing one power from all hands across Marvel Snaps, all games currently happening. We need to capitalize it.
I think one of the biggest things you can learn from me is that I'm like ostensibly a pretty good player at card games generally. Like I've been rank 1 on this game. I've been rank 1 on MTG Arena. I've been pretty good at a couple other card games before. I can't read. This is not a skill set I possess. And so it's like, I think one of the things that having access to people who are like good at a specific niche teaches you is just how little there is in terms of carryover. We're all still human and we're all still stupid. Don't worry.
I built my entire career off that, so I resonate with that. So, and I've never been rank 1 in pretty much anything, actually. I guess the best I managed
arguably you're rank 1 at Marvel Snap YouTubing.
Yeah, if Regis Kilbin went on vacation. No, not even. Dude was releasing videos in his hotel room still. Like Regis has absolutely zero chill. Zero chill. Everyone, you guys know what I'm talking about. His last video, and he was literally laying in bed recording with a microphone, holding a microphone that like dude has absolutely zero.
Dude, I gotta get on his level. I gotta like put my bed back here. I gotta level up.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, a bed would look great back there. Like a nice just
A lot of
mattress.
things would look better than what it is right now.
I think it's beautiful. I love like the one coat of paint look you got going there right now. It's like,
would you believe that is 4 coats of paint?
What? What the shittiest paint you've ever used? Is
I don't want to talk about it, okay? Like I just don't want to talk about it. That is actually 4 coats of paint. I eventually was just like, screw this, it'll look like that. We're gonna pretend it's an artistic device to make it look like clouds, and then I never addressed it again.
You know what apparently we are not addressing is Lockheed. We've barely talked about the card. I don't know how I'm gonna like bring this back here.
3.5 stars.
Are you going 3.5 for reals?
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
so we're on the same.
I think this is a bit of a copium pick for me. Because, like, I like this stuff. I like Merlin and Werewolf and all of that. And the problem with Lockheed is largely it's going to weirdly be the same problem that Aurora had, which is like if I want to play this sort of various mid-range types of things, where it's like, okay, here's where my points come from. Here's the interaction I have to compete with Merlin Werewolf. And so if this card is probably not better than Merlin Werewolf. Probably ain't going to be that. But the real question is, can it be complementary with Merlin Werewolf? And I don't know if it can. I'm not saying it can't, but I don't know if it can. And if it can't, this could be a much worse than 3.5 star card. But I am choosing to believe that it can, and that this is a thing we're going to want to do.
I have 2 thoughts I want to throw you away before we move on to the next card. One, I'm thinking about Aurora for this card, because I think that I can put Lockheed and oh my gosh, why am I forgetting her name? Diamondback. Lockheed Diamondback. You have end of turn ongoing, right? You get to play your stones in other locations, finish off with Aurora, maybe turn 5 Shou-Lao, clapping cheeks. What do you think?
I buy this as a Thanos card. I definitely buy that.
Yeah, like
I'm not sure I buy the rest of it, but I do kind of like the idea of doing like this Diamondback. I don't think I buy that, but I do think it's like, I didn't think about that. They're both purple, and that's kind of cute. Like that's
not where I expected you to go, but okay. This is beautiful.
Yeah, that like I was like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like that. Like I'm into that conceptually. I think the KMBEST that lives inside my brain that is like, you're not allowed to enjoy things, right? You have to like ruthlessly, cut out all the fat in every deck you make. That one probably doesn't love that, but
yeah,
I don't hate this as a Thanos card. I probably just don't love the Diamondback part.
Okay, that's what I love, that side. But I have one more question. Now, you did mention you don't read, or you can't read.
I don't.
Which is interesting as someone who we just finished talking about literature like 10 minutes ago, but that's a whole other conversation.
I have it read to me. I have a personal reader.
Audiobook. All right, understood.
Right, that would have been a better joke.
Yeah. So with Lockheed, this is something I'm not 100% sure about, because I always forget. So when costs are capitalized, that means that, let's say the Prowler skills are discounted, they still count as 1-cost cards, right?
Correct.
So like if you have discounted Prowler cards and you're playing them with Lockheed will still recognize those cards.
Yep.
Okay,
1 dash cost is referring to the base cost of the card. Costs X is referring to the cost as it appears. No, as far as I'm aware, there are 0 cards that check in play for a modified cost of something. If the card is in play, it is checking for base cost every time, as far as I am aware.
You're baiting engagement. There's got to be a card.
Again, as far as I'm aware, there is not a card. Jane Foster checks in deck. As far as I'm aware, there is not a card that checks on board that is going to be affected by modified costs.
Yeah, true. Okay. One thing I will say is I've always thought that like whether the C is capitalized might have an impact.
That I don't know. I only know the hyphen rule. I don't know. I think the hyphen rule is the same though, right? Because when you capitalize it, that's 1 dash capital C every time. Whereas something that costs, you don't capitalize that C. So I guess it's the same rule. Just we memorize the different part of the grammar.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Lin Lee. Is it Lin Lee? Okay.
Brother,
I might just leave that in.
We have established that I do not know.
I was going to that was actually just a genuine question. I wasn't going to include in the recording, but I just might leave it in for the crew there so they can get the true authentic experience of the Snapchat behind the scenes. Yeah. Lin Lee Iron Fist coming out January 13th. This card is a 2/2 that reads, on reveal, add the sword of FU XI to another location. Dude, I have no idea. Can you give a shot at this? What's the sword? What's the sword?
My understanding is it's something equivalent to Fushi, but I'm gonna it's time to pick a bone with you. Okay, it's time to pick a bone because I tweeted out because this looks like it says sort of, FUX.
FU,
that's what it looks like. It looks like it says, and then like an exclamation point. So I was like, get in on this. It's going to be the 2026 Hydration Robert. I don't know why people think that you wouldn't think sort of fucks is funny.
It is funny. I think it's hilarious.
that's what got me. I was like, wait a minute. So this guy's actually this is the card I have the least good read on over the entire season.
I think I actually have to read it again first.
Right.
Because I think that we didn't even finish reading the card.
That makes sense.
All right, let's go through the formalities, then I'll let KM riff here. All right, so first of all, we have Lin Lee Iron Fist, who is a 2/2 that reads, on reveal, add the sword of Fu Xi to another location.
Is going to be as close as we're going to get.
Fushi, okay. It sounds better than XI, which is clearly incorrect. And
it ain't Fu Xi.
All right. So then the sword of Fusi, okay, is a 2/2 that reads, ongoing. If Lin Lee Iron Fist is here, he has +7 power. There's a chance I said 7 names wrong in one read. But long story short, ongoing, if Lin Lee Iron Fist is here, he has 7+ power. Dude, I mean, the numbers are good. The stats are here, man. I don't know. Could this card be bad? It might be a one trick, but the numbers are there, Cam. So I'm curious what your thoughts.
Honestly, that's a great way to phrase it. I do think this card is a one trick. This card is a very specific deck archetype kind of card. And that specific deck archetype is, I refer to these as Iris decks because I don't really have a good way to refer it as any other deck because Iris is just sort of the player that I saw doing this. So that's what they are in my head. But this sort of Madam Web thing first steps Cosmo Juggernaut mid-range style of deck. That deck wants this. If you're playing Madam Web and Ghost Spider in a deck that isn't fully move oriented, if you're just playing a little bit of quasi move oriented stuff that just has a bit of that as a way to maneuver your points around the battlefield, that's actually quite good. Because that deck is relatively low on points. This card, if you Ghost Spider the Lin Lee to the location the sword goes to, that's 14 power. 3 from the Ghost Spider, 11 from these dudes. Now, it's not great on the economy of the board spaces, but it does still represent 14 power, and that's kind of a big deal. The other thing that I think maybe is worth mentioning for this card, but I don't want to actually act like I think it's going to happen, is Aurora. Aurora is a big fan of cards that have multiple things that do multiple bodies. So this is a 2/2 with an on reveal and a 2/2 with an ongoing. It's not nothing there. But I do think that when I look at this, I look at mid-rangey Madam Web type small ball move, Craven, Batroc, Ghost Spider, Sam Wilson. That kind of stuff is where I see this card making sense. I literally don't think it goes in any other deck.
No, it doesn't. And I don't think it should either. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think that in that deck, it's going to be good. I'm going 4 stars. I'm going a bit of a limb here. I think this is a really good card. I know that's way higher, but give me a sec.
You're so generous, man.
I know I'm generous. That's why everyone hates me. I misgrade all these cards nonstop. But what I'll tell you is that, listen, think about this line. Turn 2, Lin Lee Iron Fist, sword drops, sword of FU drops. Okay. Turn 3, Hydra Stomper. Turn 4, Silk Cloak, right? And then you just move them over. Boom. Easy, right? It's that Hellion, easy, right? You have 5 turns to draw Hellion. You're going to get him. Hellion's a good card, right? Why are you laughing? I'm serious. I don't think it's that hard.
That's, I agree. I just love the phrasing of you have 5 turns to draw Hellion, you're gonna get him. Because like I know there's someone in the comments who's like, Alex,
of course, yeah.
Actually, mathematically,
I know, of course. I'm just baiting engagement, of course, yeah.
But I think this is another great example of why you're a better content creator. I'll tell you why. I made the joke "sort of fucks," right?
Yeah.
You calling it "sort of fu," that's the one that's gonna catch on. I know that. While we're recording this video, I'm watching this. I'm like, that's better. That's a better joke. I missed it. It was right there. Restrictions breed creativity. And what I'm allowed to say lets me just say anything. Your restrictions of what you're allowed to say, they have bred creativity and you have come up with a better joke. I am so annoyed at my own inability to get to the good joke here. It's like watching someone take a deck you made and make it better. And you're just like, I should have seen it. I didn't see it. I have been owned in the marketplace of ideas. And I would just like to say, I throw my full endorsement behind sort of FU. It's better.
I don't know, man. I'm just going to throw out here as well that I'm just going to say that like this is probably Cope, Spider-Man Noir, right? If you think about Spider-Man Noir, this actually puts you on curve for a turn 4 Spider-Man Noir because it adds 4. So turn 1, you play 1 cost. Turn 2, this is actually 4, right? Turn 3, play 3 costs like your what's his name?
I don't think
Hydra Stomper. Turn 4, it's just it's free real estate now. You have 8.
No, I don't think that's Cope. I think that's actually a really good point. This is way better than Mr. Sinister for that because it's spread across multiple locations. It's never going to be at the same thing. And because you're probably playing a deck that has the ability to move stuff around anyway, I actually don't think you're coping here. Like maybe the idea of being a Spider-Man Noir deck is cope, but this is actually probably like a really good card in as much as if you wanted to make a Spider-Man Noir deck, it would go in there. I actually do think you're on something.
I kind of threw it out there just as like a point, just as a point of discussion for you to make fun of me. But now that you're actually saying it's a good idea, I feel better about it.
No, I think that's like, I didn't think about it. I think that kind of cooks. It's like it's like if Mr. Sinister was good.
Okay, I have another cope line then. Play this on the left, then Prowler's Flight Harness will be able to send Iron Fist to the right into the location 50% of the time.
I buy that one a little less, but it probably will happen. Like I actually think that like Prowler probably does go in whatever deck you're playing with this, and so that will happen, and you probably will have to play it on the left most of the time.
Now, unironically, like not joking around, how do you squeeze Madam Web and this card in together? Like they're stepping on each other's toes at the 2 cost. Do you just play this turn 3, 4? You want Hydra Stomper out, so like what's your plan there?
For me, Hydra Stomper is usually a final turn play because it's such a magnet for like Deafening Chord and Cosmic Ghost Rider and things like that. I would say that what I'm trying to do a lot of the time is like what I want to do is, okay, here's the plan. We have whatever our turn 1 is, it's Bat Truck or whatever. And then it's like, do we want to be a Sam Wilson deck? Do we have Sam Wilson in our opening hand? If we don't have Sam Wilson, I'd probably rather play Madam Web and then do this later on. One of the things that happens in those kind of mid-range decks is you end up playing off curve more than you think because there's just so much cheap stuff in there. The 3 specifically is where you end up playing off curve the most because, like, for example, you have Batroc turn 1, Sam Wilson turn 2, Craven turn 3. You don't really have another 1 to mix in with that actually makes sense to play. So those decks are, I would say, pretty used to it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll also mention that this card is going to be resistant to Shadow King thanks to the fact that this is an ongoing card, which is kind of nice. So you will get a significant amount of power. The one thing about like Ghost spidering it in is that like you're occupying 3 spots on a lane like relatively early, but it is a lot of power, so it's really not that big a deal, but it might be potentially problematic. But yeah,
that is a big deal. You're right. Yeah. That is a big deal. Like board slot economy is really important. The thing about these decks though is they kind of have like they're good at board slot economy. I've made up a new word as well. They're also just kind of hard up for like a 2-drop with 1 billion power. Like a lot of their other 2-drops that have 1 billion power, they got to put a lot of work into that, right? But you can play on the final turn of the game. Like, let's say you have a full lane, right? You can play a Lin Lee, know where the sword is going to be, go spider it to that location where the sword is going to be on the final turn of the game, and your other 3 energy is a Hydra. You can do that. Like, it's not going to be as good as Kraven and Sam, probably. But it's going to be a lot less time sensitive than they are.
True. Star rating wise, I don't think you've given our star rating. I came in at 4, which I know is high, but I'm going to tell you, this is one of those situations where I think those like little mover style decks are pretty good, man. I like the Hydra Stomper decks. I like the Spider Punk decks. I think they're cool, and I think that it kind of can all work together in a way that I think is fascinating. If it works there, I think it's going to be a good card and a good deck. But if it doesn't work there, it goes from a 4-star to a 0, because like if it doesn't work there, it works nowhere. That's the problem, though.
I appreciate that you've adopted my level of hyperbole. Like an hour ago, you were like, well, I never give 1-star cards. You know, I'm just not doing that. And now you're like, this is a 0. So like, I do think that we've demonstrated some ability of mind meld. Hopefully I can absorb something from you, like kindness, decency, the ability to treat people normally. I'm hoping I get some of that in this trade. Now, I will say, I think this card is a bit lower at base because I think those decks are a bit tenuous in terms of their positioning. They're good, but they're very hard. And they never actually trickle down to the wider player base, who are the people that are watching this, right? So if I'm trying to give advice to someone who's thinking about, like, do I need to go buy Lindley Iron Fist? I am rank 55. You're probably just not going to get as much out of a deck that is that difficult, that complex, that sequence heavy, as you are out of just playing a ramp deck. My guiding light in any card game I've ever played is, if you don't know what you're doing, give yourself less opportunities to mess up. And if you have 2 decks that are roughly at the same level of power, but one of them is asking way less of you, you play that one every single time. I won't even say there's no shame in it. I would say it's the other way around. There is shame in people who confuse technical difficulty with skill. If you can get the same results out of less effort, you do that every single time. That is the right thing to do, rather than getting your ego in the way. This is a card that is going to be hard to play. I think that the average Marvel Snap player is not going to be able to get as much out of this card as you would want. And thus, rather than the 4 or the 0 or whatever, I'm going to say that I think this would be like a bit player in those decks. I think those decks could fall apart. And I think that it probably wouldn't be a good thing to invest in those decks if you're the normal person who plays this game. So I'm going to say this is a 2-star card, even though I like it a lot.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. And I will mention, fun fact, I don't think I've ever revealed this before. When I was in high school, I was in a band. I was a drummer. And our band name was Technical Difficulties. So
that is actually dope. That is like a... Dude, you're so good at names. I'm not even joking. This is like a consistent thing. You're so good at it.
I'm so good at names that when it came to naming my YouTube channel, I'm like, what's on my birth certificate?
Well, I mean, maybe you got it from your parents, right? Your parents were thinking about this. They were like, what would be a good name for a YouTuber? And they nailed it. And so you just sort of inherited that gene.
I just think that's funny because it's like, yeah, like you're so good at naming things. Also, like my YouTube channel, which is somewhat awkward sometimes because like if I'm just like on Twitch TV and like I can't, when your Twitch name's your full legal name, it's like kind of weird, like commenting and like random streams because like no, it's just like GamerDad 42069 and like XX Sniper 69XX and it's like just your full name, and everyone always tries to read the full name. And it's like, it's just so, it just makes it made so I never actually chat. I just sit there and it's
one of the things that made me be like, I want to be a streamer is I'd constantly watch people pronounce obvious names. And then I became a streamer and I started mispronouncing obvious names. And I was like, damn, this is harder than it looks.
Yeah, I know. It's come to the point where like even when people like subscribe and stuff, like I think part of the allure is me just like taking their name, like intentionally just derping their name just out, and they know I'm reading it wrong, and they know if I really tried I could probably get it, but it's okay that I missed like 6 of the letters. You know?
Yeah, you're doing my Dragoon of the Mon bit, right?
Exactly.
Like it's the same thing. Yeah.
All right, we got to keep talking about Marvel Snap Rolls. We're gonna be here all night. I have no idea how long this pod's gonna go, which is good. I'm here for it, man. It's been a while. It's been a long one, man. It's been a long one.
It's my fault.
It's not your fault. It's not. It is your fault actually. But anyway, so
It's definitely
Fin
my fault.
Fang Foom, and the only reason why I knew this existed, Fin Fang. First of all most of these dragons I have no idea, but I'm gonna shout out the Guardians of the Galaxy game on Steam, which I think is like usually on sale for like $5. Where you're playing the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's actually a really good game that I think is underappreciated. Marvel Midnight Suns is another beauty Marvel game, by the way. If you like Marvel, like just interactions, it's more of like a social simulator than a game. Have you played Marvel Midnight Suns?
No. You're kind of making it sound like is it like a dating sim? Can you like
Dude, do you think Marvel's gonna release a dating sim where you get to date Wolverine?
I don't know, dude. Have you seen any character design for Marvel Rivals?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Like I don't need yeah, okay. That's fair. That's fair. Like there is
maybe they're throwing money away not doing that, actually.
There's a lot of curvature in the Marvel Rivals art, man. A lot of curvature.
A lot.
Like the White Queen, like premium skin when that came out, I was like, I told Coccia, we can't even put it on the screen. We're gonna get immediately demonetized. Like immediately, like it's done. Now they're doing like the swimsuit editions too. And like the thing is, like they know what they're doing, but also they're so good at the art. Like the artists are so talented that it looks so amazing that you can be like, okay, like I'm here for it, to be honest with you.
I think especially with White Queen, it's like not only is that awesome, it's also in character. Like if someone's like, "Oh,
Cozy mentioned that
Frost
too, yeah.
wouldn't dress like this," like yes, you would. Yeah, dude. That is honestly I would argue that like the Rivals portrayal of Emma Frost is probably like it's not like the most tame Emma Frost gets, but it's like a solid 50th percentile.
So
like
the real question
they've
is,
done way worse things.
when are we getting the Emma Frost KMBEST cosplay stream?
I probably have to lose a decent amount of weight for that.
No,
The rest of it, I think I could pull off, but like I think I would have to. I don't think my waist could stand up to the average Emma Frost outfit. Or to be blunt, I don't think the average Emma Frost outfit could contain my waist. I think we'd see a lot of, here's this like cinchy thing that just explodes with the general girth of my over large torso.
So what you're saying is your take on Emma Frost would actually have even more skin.
My take on Emma Frost would have significantly more muscle.
Okay, I think you're selling this here.
That would be. I actually do kind of love that they made her like a tank in Rivals. I think that's sick.
We're talking about Fin Fang Foom now.
Sure.
So it's actually a cool card. And now, okay, the reason why we were talking about random games, by the way, before we just spiraled, was because Fin Fang Foom was in. So like Drax had to fight him for some reason or whatever. I don't know. Not a spoiler, but it's in the Guardians of the Galaxy game. That's why I knew. But it's a 7/12. A 7/12. So we'll be getting a couple 7-costed cards. And, well, this is another one. And it reads, on reveal, gain the power of front row enemy cards here. So you're starting at 7/12. This could potentially be, like, easily, like, what? Like a 7/20? I mean, it could be smaller, too. Cam, I'm not sure about this card. Now, there's a very obvious deck. I don't want to steal your thunder, though. I'm going to give you the floor on this
if
one.
you like, I think you feel free. Go ahead. You've got.
So
it.
I'm suspecting that as a 7-cost 12, that this is probably a Hela card.
Yeah.
And I think that they're comfortable releasing this because Stardust is as good as it is, right? Like that's my take on this. So I'm curious about what you think. This is coming out on January 20th, by the way, in Series 5.
Okay, so I think that because this is a 7-cost 12. This is a Hela card, and I think that they're comfortable releasing it because Stardust is as good as it is.
Boom, my analysis was correct.
Yeah. That is largely what I think. But like, here's the thing. No, this is not the thing. This is Fin Fang Foom. My apologies. Here's the thing. I wish that was a part of his name. I'm really not able to get anywhere with this. Here's the thing. This guy, when you compare this card to the Infinite, they're both probably like 20 power, right? Like, they're both probably what they are. Which is easier to do? Not play a card or have 7 energy? Because to me, this card looks like a power crept the Infinite. That is, I think, probably the right way to analyze. Like, yes, the Hela stuff matters, but like at base, it is way easier to have 7 energy in this game than it is to skip an entire turn to play the Infinite. Significantly. And the output's going to be similar.
Bro, I hate to tell you, are you sitting down right now? I got news.
I've been standing this whole time.
Okay, good to know. So the Hulk Evo edition is power crept Infinite at this point. Like Infinite needs something because it's awful. That's not the purpose of this conversation. But Infinite is literally hella fodder at this point. Not hella fodder.
Counterpoint.
I do see the occasional Red Wing Infinite. I do see it on occasion.
The ramp deck.
Of course.
I would argue Infinite sees a ton of play.
Okay, never mind. I take it all back.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea, but I do think it would be the wrong time for it. I'll say this. Like, I think this card is just really good. And obviously, I'm scared of the Hela thing. I don't even think there's much to say about that. Like, yeah, it costs 7 and Hela brings it back and it's like a billion bazillion power. That's not good. Stardust exists and you're probably going to have to play it because that's what this card does. But unlike the Infinite, you're actually going to have 7 energy sometimes to play this card in a Hela deck because you play Corvus Glaive. Like, you're going to be able to do that. So this is just better than the current state-of-the-art big guy that people play. I think this is just a really good card. Like, for me, this is a genuine 4-star card that would be better if it weren't so fundamentally limited by what it is. It's pretty hard for a card that says 7 to get to that level without being like a totalizing, meta-dominating package, which I think this could be, but is fairly unlikely to be. This is a strong 7.
I was thinking about, like, okay, let's say you get outside of Hela, right? If you don't want to play in Hela, which I think Hela is going to be the way to play it for what it's worth. But let's say you're like, you're thinking Ramp, right? Ramp has been heavily buffed, right? You got things like Electro Blink, which is fantastic. You have, obviously, Luna Snow, who I think is a great friggin' card. I think Luna Snow is great. Wave got recently buffed. Like, there's so many ways to get this card on the field of play. I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Magic, thinking the 7th energy comes from the 7th turn. You can't play Magic in a Merlin game anymore. I think Magic is like extremely problematic. It's if you want to get your cheeks clapped, play Magic, because it's just begging to get ripped out of your hands from Legion, which is actually popular right now, or Merlin, who is probably the best season pass card in my opinion in recent memory. Like, in terms of like just overall applicability across the game, like literally everyone should own Merlin. Like, I think, can we agree to that? Everyone should own Merlin. I
did a Marvel Snap end of year awards show where I came up with the nominees and my comments voted on them. And the voting is still in progress, but when I last checked, Merlin was winning season pass of the year by like a factor of 3. Like, it had more votes than every other season pass I put up there combined. So yeah, I think that's a pretty agreeable sentence.
Yeah. And the thing about this card too, though, is like when I think about 7 cost, like Zombie Galacti disappointed. I think it's interesting now. I don't think it's great now, but I think it's interesting now at the very least, especially with Maverick, right?
Post Maverick, yeah.
Yeah, post Maverick, of course. So like 7 cost can be a problem because like with the original Zombie Galacti without Maverick, that even currently getting that extra energy can be like you're forcing it a little bit, right? You're forcing a little bit. With this here, because you have that Hela package, you don't have to force it. And as a 7 cost, you can sift this. There's so many ways that you can kind of utilize this to good effectiveness that I feel like it has a higher floor than something like a Zombie Galacti ever did. Because of the Hela, I'm willing to go like 3.5 to 4 star. I'm actually going to say 4. I think it might be a good 4-star card. It's just I get nervous about someone snapping into you and dropping Stardust turn 6. That's all.
I think this is a 4-star card. I just don't want it to be. Like, I would really... No, because nothing this card does is something I want to be playing against. It is just sort of a, by design, invalidating card that also makes Hela better. I don't want to be doing this, but if you're going to make me put Stardust in my deck, then yeah, I am going to turn 6, like, take Prio, snap. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I think this card is really strong. I really hope that I'm wrong about this, but yeah, this is a 4-star card.
So you're saying if you're playing Hela, you deserve it?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, from the bottom of my heart, please don't play Hela. I beg you. That's really... in much the same way as I ask people not to emote me, I realize what this will do is make people do that. But still, I heartfelt from the soul, I beg you.
You know what? There was a hot take given to me. Now I know you're an emote connoisseur, an enjoyer of emotes, we'll say. Someone told me that fist bumping at the end of a game is toxic, and I was like, how can that possibly be understood as toxic? And sure enough, people are like, yeah, it's toxic. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, what are we building glass castles here? Like, what are we talking about? How is a fist bump toxic, buddy?
Because this is I genuinely
You agree
believe
with
this.
them?
I do. I'll tell you why.
Tell me why. If you start singing Backstreet Boys, I'll be so upset.
I will not. 90%, tell me why. 90% of fist bumps that I get at the end of the game are after I lose.
Okay.
It is a way of saying they enjoyed the game. But a lot of why they enjoyed the game was because they didn't lose. And if you stream long enough, I don't know if this will happen to you, but it definitely does to me. The majority of fist bumps you get happen after you lose. And very few of them happen after you win. Because the number one thing that determines whether someone thought it was a good game, and people are going to not admit this. Like, I'm going to get killed for this in your comments. People are going to be like, this guy is a dick. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I emote every game. There's always someone who says that. But all I can tell you is that in my experience, the vast majority of those emotes come after I have lost. And not like, oh, GG, I emoted you at the beginning of the game too. Like, my cards are flipping up and they become confident that they have won, then they fist bump. That is a thing that happens a lot. Now, am I a big whiny baby for caring about this and letting it get to me? Obviously, yes, I am a big whiny baby for this. Obviously, I don't claim to make any judgments on the type of person you are for doing this. I will simply request that if you play against me, please don't do it to me.
Which is, of course, going to be constant emote.
Right. Of course, what that means is more people are going to do it. But that, I can't control that. What I can control is trying to not be a whiny baby, which I have not done a good job of, but also at least just being honest. Like, no, I would prefer if you didn't do this to me. And then if someone else chooses to do that to me anyway, well, I don't really think they can argue that it's like, oh, I'm just trying to be nice.
That's fair. I'll have you know that after almost every single game, regardless of me winning or losing, I fist bump out of habit. I will say that when I lose, people almost always fist bump back. When I win, no, it
happens a lot. Like you'll start to notice it. Like once someone points it out, you're just like, oh man, that's real. Like a lot of what determines whether or not someone enjoyed a game is winning. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is literally nothing wrong with that. It is a totally normal human thing. I am a big whiny baby. We've established this. I just want people to not like make it worse for me. Like every loss I take, I already feel terrible. I don't need to be reminded that it happened. I was there.
Something that always happens to me is like in my head, I don't often say it out loud. Sometimes chat on us, but I'm like, I'm being stream sniped 100%, right? I know I'm being stream sniped. And I'm like, they'll beat me. And I'm like, okay, I'll fist bump. And you know what they do, right? You know what they do. What do they do?
I have no idea what they do. I would never hazard a guess. Ah, yes.
Miss Marvel thumbs up every time.
Love it.
I'm going to tell you with 99.9% effectiveness. If I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm getting stream sniped and I fist bump. It's always this. It's always Miss Marvel. I'm like, okay, all right, buddy. Like, relax. Enjoy.
I do think it's kind of sick that they made like an emote that is ostensibly like a good game emote, but just looks so mean that it's become the middle finger. Like,
it's such
like you want to talk about the sword of FU. The sword of FU is this thumbs up emotion. That's the sword of FU right there.
Yeah, I know. It's such a ridiculous emo, but I know that there's been many calls to like have like a perma mute emote function, which I'm of the thought that like honestly I'm okay with not having it, but as a content creator, I'll tell you there are people that like they see you and they know it's you and they can't wait. They can't wait to hit the button. But I'll also tell you, I matched against a content creator who will not be named, and I Spider-Man pointed fist bumped right at the start of the game, and they didn't respond. And then afterwards, I
Yeah.
checked the VOD, and they just immediately muted me. I was like, bro,
That sounds like
come
me.
on.
What did we play?
It wasn't you. It wasn't you. No,
I would have
Freddy,
done that.
we are
I do
way
that.
too.
I snap that off.
We're
like, if you emote me, it's happening 100% of the time. The only thing I want is like, I'll tell you, I don't need them to get rid of all emotes. Just have my mutes on a person be permanent. I'm good. My matchmaking pool is pretty small. Like I can mute all of them manually. I'm good for that. I just want to play the game and move on. And again, like I want to stress, this is because I am a big whiny man child who cannot properly manage his own emotions, right? Like that's what's going on here on a fundamental level. It's not anyone else's problem. I recognize that. I have plenty of growth to do. I'm just going to say that.
You know what? I'm here for you. I just want you
Thanks,
to know
man. I appreciate that.
You know who else is here for you? Shang-Chi. And maybe with the power of the 10 rings, KMBEST, you would have the strength to overcome the emote frustrations that you have been struggling with. This is a weird card, man. This is a weird card. That was one of the worst transitions I've ever done. Terrible segue. Just as bad as like those things you ride on. I don't know. That's also
you don't like
segues.
Segue? You don't like
No,
that? You don't like?
stupid.
You're not a fan of? Really?
I'll tell you. So when I was at PAX West, and they don't have quite segues, but what are we doing? We're not even talking about Snap anymore. So we were on. No. So I was at PAX West, and in Seattle, they have like those scooters that you rent.
Yeah, the hoverboards.
Dude, they were scooters just like thrown into the middle of the street. Like people not even trying to bring them back to the kiosk. Like it's like someone just ghost rid them down a hill and just let them hit a tree. Like I'm like, what? At one point in the night, I was walking back from the convention to the hotel, and there was just scooters like everywhere, like just thrown into like literally in the middle of the street. And there's like a bike lane, which is, I guess is also a scooter lane, and no one's wearing helmets. Dudes are going like 100 kilometers an hour on these scooters, not in helmets, just like begging for pain. And then like they just hop off and let it just continue rolling down the street. I'm like, what is happening here? It's not quite a segue, but yeah, if you're like renting a scooter and then just like letting it rot in the middle of like a literally a busy intersection, then yeah, I'm not here for that.
I feel like you're blaming Segway for things that are not that they're not responsible for, you know, in much the same way as Shang-Chi might be blamed for not being the card he was originally data mined. How do you like that one?
How do you like Segway can sort of F you?
I'm actually like, this actually kills me because it's like, you know, one of the things you'll think as a content creator, this is just like a very normal thing to think. And I think it's important to remove the stigma from it. Is like, you know, why am I not as successful as Alex, right? Like, why is he a better creator than me, right? What is the difference? And other than the incredible work ethic and the production and all of those things, the generally more likable person, all of those things, you know, you take those out. Even if I had all of those things, I still wouldn't have gotten to sort of FU. And that's the gap. That's the gap.
I appreciate you pumping my tires, my man. And here I am thinking, if only I was as good as KMBEST is at pretty much anything, man. Literally a man who oozes incredible talent. Like literally rank 1 in what? Every single card game you play? Okay, bro.
No, that's not true. I've been pretty good at a lot of different card games. I've been rank 1 at 2 of them. I've been like top 16 at a couple more. That's not, but like, I think most people could do that. These are super niche things.
Most people cannot do that.
I don't know. I actually like genuinely firmly believe that because I spent a lot more time as a bad card game player than I did as a good one, right? I didn't become a good card game player because I'm not like, oozing talent. I didn't start good. I got good through reps and people helping me. I didn't like start good. There are people who do. There are people who are just naturally built that way. But I got good through doing a lot of work. And I honestly, genuinely believe that most people could do that too. I don't think I'm special for that. I think that like, genuinely, my belief about card games is you can get better as long as you're willing to put the work in. You absolutely can get to whatever level you want. I fully believe that. And it's also just totally okay to say like, I don't want to put that work in. You're allowed to do that as long as you're intentionally just being like, look, this is not who I want to be. I unfortunately am just wired in such a way that I can't not be this way. I have to try hard and like, destroy the enjoyment of people who want to play for fun. I have to do it. I'm built that way. But like, one of my genuine fundamental beliefs, and a lot of the reason that I make the content that I do, is because I don't think I'm special. I am 32 years old. I play card games for a living. I'm the luckiest man on the face of the planet. Up until I was like 25, I was very bad at card games. And I got good at card games through saying, I want to get good at this. How can I get better? Who can help me? And how do I put the work in? And I really do think that people can do that. I'm not like a child prodigy or whatever. Like, anyone can do that. It is a skill you can learn. I promise you.
That is actually incredibly inspirational. And might I suggest, like, I think seriously, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that that's a great topic for a video you should release one day. I think you should document that journey. And I think that that's something that, like, people would actually want to hear and would legitimately like to talk about. Yeah, I think that a lot of people, they want that inspirational, aspirational type of content where they're like, I would like to get better. How did Cam do it? If Cam was flesh and blood just like I was, probably rank 1 in flesh and blood too, by the way. Shang-Chi, the Master of Rings, who is a 3/5 that reads, game start. The 10 rings start in your hand. On reveal, unlock their potential. That is kind of weird text, but let's talk about the 10 rings. So it starts it starts as a 2/1. On reveal, give one of your other cards here +1 power. Not that fancy, but you know what gets not that shabby is once it evolves or upgrades or its potential becomes unlocked.
It has its potential unlocked, yeah.
Once its potential is unlocked, it becomes an end of turn. Give your other cards here +1 power, which is actually really, really good. It's a 2/2 that reads end of turn. Give your other cards here +1 power. That is really good. So KM, my man, I will give you the floor on this card, which I think might just be the banger of the season.
So the upgraded version of this card is a monster. Full stop. That effect is extremely powerful. There's only one thing that I wonder about. And this is some classic card gamer I can't read stuff. But game start, the 10 rings starts in your hand. Does it take up a space in your hand? Because when you look at the other cards that say game start, this starts in your hand. Agatha says draw this. This doesn't say draw the 10 rings. Quicksilver says starts in your hand. And he takes up a draw. I can't. He doesn't say add the 10 rings to your hand. It says they start there. And that to me is the difference between this card being amazing and this card being fairly mediocre. Because if this is taking up a draw for the 10 rings, which is a 2-drop that kind of sucks until you upgrade it, it is making you less likely to upgrade it by playing Shang-Chi because you're going to draw him less. Yeah,
no, that change takes it from a 5-star to like a maybe 3. Like, 100%. That is a massive thing that we don't have the answer to. I should mention, as of recording, we do not have the video. Like, we don't have the video right now. They didn't release it. So we're recording prior to the video being released. So if it does get released before this goes live, then we don't have that context, which I hope would be answered in the video because that is a very important thing. I'm assuming that it's a free card. That's my assumption.
Then this is the best card they've ever made.
Then maybe that's not a good assumption. Do they want to release the best card they've ever made?
I mean, I assume at some point they want to do that, but like, yeah, if this card is just like, you get a free piece of cardboard in your hand and also sometimes it's busted. Yeah, no, that card's really good. Like, that's just like,
it's probably too good.
Full stop. That's really good. Like, there's not even anything to analyze about that. It's just like, if that card starts in your hand and you don't lose a draw for it, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm putting that in everything. Why would I not?
That's why I said 5-star, I guess, right?
Yeah, like it's a 5-star card. That's Sam Wilson. It's God gaming. It's amazing.
So do we want to assume that it doesn't start in the hand, or like what are we doing here?
Let's assume it does and call it a 5-star card, and then if it doesn't, we can be like, second inner rug pulled us. That's a winning strategy.
Second inner rug pulled us. Okay, I'm good with that.
Yep.
So can I just take it down like exactly where I want to go? I want to play this in Silver Surfer, like really bad.
Yeah.
Is that stupid?
I'm gonna play this with Maverick.
Hell
It's
yeah,
gonna
I
be
do.
amazing.
Maverick, man,
Cards-
Sebastian
yeah.
Shaw, Broods, everything gets pumped by this, man. Maverick and Sebastian Shaw particularly, it's like, I love this.
The originally data mined version of this card, the rings itself was an end of turn that hit one thing. And it obviously got nerfed because that is the best card they've ever made, even if it takes up a spot in your opening hand. It upgraded into the same thing, but making it an on reveal does make it a whole lot worse. So the question is like, here's a card that I really want to play with the rings. And I know this is like kind of a ridiculous thing. I really want to play this with Coccia. I really want to go turn 1 Coccia, turn 2 rings, turn 3 Shang. That's what I want to do. That is every turn I am getting a Flames of the Faultine. And I'm just playing those cards every turn. I just get one for free. I'm into that. I want to do that. I think that this is a card that, if it does give you the card for free, is unbelievably powerful in a million different places. If it doesn't give you the card for free, I agree. It's still like a 3-star card. There's still stuff to do with this.
That line you just said, by the way, turn 4, Lockheed in the Flames. Boom.
I was thinking Joaquin Torres into Flames.
Ooh, Joaquin Torres Falcon. There was, you know what, on release, there was a time where there was a Falcon Coccia deck that wasn't awful. Like, it actually kind of clapped cheeks a little bit.
This is a card that wants to go in that deck and clap some cheeks.
Okay, good. I'm here for that. That's what I'm here for. That's what I want to hear. Because this pod's already like 2 hours. Like, do we want to? Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say here? Or like, we still have 2 cards to go through.
You're good to go, man. I've already. See, here's the thing. The thing about my content is the people that like my content really like it, right? Because it's very personal. You get a real sense of who I am, and like sort of peek behind the curtain DIY vibe that I think a lot of my stuff has. And I fear that I've brought that to here. So like, your diehard fans are going to be like, oh, we actually get to see Alex, like, you know, get into it and just do whatever. Here's 2 hours of Alex. I wanted 2 hours of Alex. I wanted that. So either you get to edit an hour out of this podcast, or you can just go. Either one of those.
Oh, buddy, I'm editing almost none of this. This was beautiful. This is exactly what I needed, man. And it's great because last week was the first week in a very long time where we took a week off the pod by choice. We're just like, you know what? It's the holiday season. Lining up guests was tricky because everyone's schedules are crazy. My schedule's crazy. I'm like, let's take a week off. So you know what? We're delivering extra content to make up for it. Right.
That's how you phrase it. This is what I mean. This is the gap. This is the gap I have to close. That's so good.
Well, I'm glad. But we're going to help close that gap, by the way, with all the subscriptions that you'll be getting from
I appreciate the thought, but I don't mean a gap in terms of numbers. I mean a gap in terms of you actually are better at this. I just realized that the borders on these all say Cozy Snap.
Yeah, they do say Cozy Snap.
They should put those borders in the game. I would use the hell out of some Cozy Snap borders.
It's a callback. I'm glad you know. I don't think anyone's really noticed that before. It's definitely a callback, and I've been okay with it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's keep that in there because it's something we always did. And so even since Cozy's a little bit on hiatus, I'm like, we keep it in there. Why not? It's, for me, it kind of keeps me in the roots of what the Snapchat was.
I don't really know what your feelings on this are, but watching Cozy do what he's done has been, I won't say it's like inspirational to me, but it's just like one of those things where you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, that's what he's doing. Like, yeah, he was always too good for the job. Like, no offense, like to you or to me, like he was always someone who was destined for a bigger stage, is what it feels like.
Of course he was, man. I'm so proud of him. Like, this is someone who put in a tremendous amount of work, had a tremendous amount of talent, and was given an opportunity to shine. And to some degree, I feel like, Marvel Snap fumbled an opportunity with someone of that capability, right? I was very fortunate to be able to work so closely with him for so long. And I feel like he was, as you said, he was always destined to kind of take his career to that next level, whether it was going to be through Marvel Snap or some other card game. But what I love about what he did specifically, which I think that all creators can kind of take solace in to some degree is the fact that he showed that if all the skills that we're building, doing what we do, we don't have to apply just to card games, Cam. There might come a day where you see something, you're like, you know what? I really want to release a channel about reviewing cars. I love cars, man. And I would love if everything that you've learned along the way now, you can apply to your next passion, something that you really want to put your mind, heart, and soul into. And Cozy found that in Rivals. And it was not luck, by the way. Cozy told me when Rivals was first announced during the alpha, he's like, this is the next thing. This was the next thing, right? And so, what you see is the success of someone who absolutely earned it. For sure, dude. There's no question about it. And people are like, oh, like, are you upset that he's not on the podcast anymore? No, I'm not, because he has moved on to something that he absolutely is crushing, that has sent his career into the stratosphere, that allows him to support his family. And as his friend, that's what I want to see for him. So, yeah, he's always welcome back. He knows that. And I hope to someday be able to record with him again. But no, man, he's absolutely earned every single thing that he's received.
It's one of those things where, like, just as a person, I'm kind of like a small, petty, jealous guy. Just like generally someone else is doing well, I'm like, why can't that be me? You know? But a lot of the times I like actually end up talking to that person. I start to understand why that actually can't be me. And it's usually related to them being really good at something, right? Like I have this feeling, and, you know, like I talk to you. It's like, obviously I would want to be in your position. That's an amazing position to be in. I would love to do that. I would want to be in Cozy's position. I would want to do all of these things. And then I talk to you, or I talk to Cozy, and it's like, oh, they just work way harder than me. Like, they just do more work. They do more work, and they're better at their jobs, and it makes perfect sense. And it's one of those things where it's like, you want to think it's because the universe is unfair or whatever. That's like the natural human thing, like, oh, bad RNG, you know? I did some rigged matchmaking, rigged shuffler, rigged algorithm, right? But on a fundamental level, it actually, like, the more I talk to these people who are more successful than me, the more I'm just like, oh yeah, no, it actually is a meritocracy. Like, these people actually are just like significantly better at their jobs. And Cozy, I think, is the first person I talked to. And I was just like, not only are you better at this job, you're better than this game. Like, that was, and it always, like, when I say it always feel like this was going to happen for him, that dude's a D1, like, first round draft pick content creator. You put him in any spot, he'd be able to do it in any game. Like that, unbelievably impressive.
I think that's the best way to describe it. First round draft pick, first overall, every single time, for sure. In any
he could do
situation.
This 10 out of 10 times. Wouldn't matter what situation you put him in.
Yeah, without question. One might even say that he's majestic, like a Wingbeat. Majestic Wingbeat, bringing us back in as we potentially cross almost 2 hours of random shenanigans with KMBEST, is a one costed skill. So this is a skill. I don't think the card art really reflects that it's a skill, but it is a skill. I do apologize for that. It reads, on reveal, give the leftmost card in your hand +2 power. If it's 5 cost or higher, -1 cost 2. It's doing a lot for a one costed skill. It reminds me of like if Shocker was absolutely juiced without a body, right? And like, I don't mind the fact that like, I find the, if it's 5 cost or higher kind of awkward. I'm like, I wonder if it would have been like, would I take this as a 2 costed skill that always just did -1 cost? Like, I'm not sure if I would do that, but generally speaking, the expensive cards often drift to the left side of your hand, right? So like, is it okay still? Anyways, I think this is probably a good card, but I think I'm leaning towards a 2-star rating because I just don't quite see where I want it in a deck yet. I'd be interested in your thoughts. I have a couple ideas, but I don't love them, so I'm going on to this 2-star rating.
Here's what I think when I see this card. I think this card is Power Crept America Chavez. That's what I see. So if you're playing a deck that's like interested in America Chavez, a lot of the time you're also interested in Brood, you're interested in things of that nature. Being able to target a buff onto one of those things is really important, but it's also really important to not use your board space on a 1/2. And I think that largely, if this card has a niche, it is in that spot. but it also is a 1-cost skill. So you have to talk about Werewolf by Night with this. You have to at least think about Joaquin Torres with this. If you're playing it in a Werewolf deck, it's probably like only ever discounting on things like Shou-Lao and maybe a Zombie Giant Man. It might not be the greatest there, but it is, again, just a thing that goes on the board and doesn't take a board slot. And that kind of economy is quite important, or can be. I think this is just a good card.
Okay, so if it's just a good card, like what star rating wise, then I'll give you a couple ideas I had.
I will say 3.5. I just
3.5
think
is
it's
way
good.
higher than
I
expected.
don't think you're going to be sad to have this card in your collection. I think especially in the context of like, this is a series 4, you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, it's nice that I have that lying around sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair. For what it's worth, where I think I'm gonna take it when I'm testing it, I think high Evo. And the reason for this is because it could hit something like Hulk, it could hit something like She-Hulk, which makes your turn 6 a lot stronger. But specifically, the new variations of Evo, which have all gotten buffed significantly since the last OTA, where they buffed up a whole bunch of those kind of vanilla-based cards. It's running the Superior Spider-Man, and this activates Superior Spider-Man, right? It gives you it gives you green text on the field of play. You're getting the reduced cost, which obviously Evo loves because it allows you to float things, right? Like, imagine what you can do if you play this and you hit Cyclops and he's 2 cost, and you play him on turn 3, he pew-pews or whatever, right? Like, you're able to do some really interesting things in high Evo with this, specifically the Superior Spider-Man version of it, where it's looking for the green power for the extra energy. So that's where I'm leaning, and I think it could actually be a pretty viable card there.
I buy that. I love that high Evo deck. You show me a fairly mediocre high Evo deck, I'm in for it. You show me a fairly mediocre Superior Spider-Man deck, I'm in for that too. So that deck is aimed squarely at me. Those are, I know we've talked about my 2 favorite cards, AV and Kitty Pryde, but Superior Spider-Man and high Evo are pretty high up there. I really enjoy what both of those cards do. So that deck is aimed, it's like a shotgun blast to the chest for me. That's exactly what I want to be doing. It makes me feel things.
There might be a little bit of cope here, but what about Galactus? Because if you think about it, Galactus gets +2, comes out potentially a turn earlier. What if you even Maverick? What if you hit Maverick with this? You can still pass that power into Galactus. Is it gross? I don't know. I don't think it's actually going to see play, but I just thought I'd throw it out there because it's not a body on the field of play. It could make for some surprise gameplay.
I have a theory I'd like to advance. Galactus is a tech card. And I don't mean like you're going to put it in your deck to beat a certain matchup. But what I do mean is that it has some really polarized matchup spreads. The things it's really good against are almost always sort of these Jocasta-y, I'm going to put points on all 3 locations with an on-board combo type of deck. That's the stuff Galactus beats up. So like Jocasta combo, Cerebro, a lot of Maverick decks get beat up by Galactus. I think that that's probably a lot bigger for Galactus than like this card is. Because I think the problem when I think about this card going in Galactus is like, okay, I can do this. But if I'm doing an Electro game plan, I can't do this. So I have to choose between those things. And so I have to be a non-Electro Galactus deck, which means what I'm probably doing is playing this in Nimrod, which again, that also works. If you want to like play this in Nimrod and have Galactus in there, you have a lot of good targets there. I just don't know if I'd rather just like play this in my Nimrod deck though. You know, I might just want to do that. Put it on a Black Panther, play the Black Panther, eat the Black Panther, play Adamantium Infusion and things like that. You know, like that kind of stuff feels. This feels a little more Nimrod-y than Galactus-y to me, is what I'll say.
That's fair. And for that reason, I guess you're thinking 3.5 stars it's higher than I expect. Like, what do you think makes it a 3.5 star card specifically?
So for me, 3.5 means a little bit better than average. That's sort of what I think of when I think of a 3.5 star card. Like it's not going to be like a staple, but it's going to be a card that I think when you compare it to its cohort of Series 4 cards is probably going to be a little bit more useful. You're happy to have it around. Where something like a Deafening Chord is like a 4.5 star card. This is worse, but it's closer to a Deafening Chord than it is to, I think then people are giving it credit for. It is significantly worse than a Deafening Chord, but it's way better than a Web Sling, for example. Like,
Okay.
if we're looking at one cost skills, I think this is like a pretty good card. And I also think that, like, again, like, you just look at this and I'm just like, I don't really ever see a deck where I'd rather play America Chavez than this. I just don't see it. I would rather be doing the one that doesn't take up the board slot in my deck of Broods. Like, I would. I think this is going to be a card that shows up in a couple of specific decks and then makes appearances occasionally in various other.
All right, let's bring this to a close with Dragon Lord. Now, this is a Series 4 high voltage card. I believe this will be like in some way accessible by a high voltage, whether it is through, I don't know what their plan is yet, but anyways, it's a 5/5 that reads, on reveal, put a card from your hand here. Honestly, I did not realize this card didn't exist in Snap yet. This seems like a very obvious, like, why wasn't this already here? This is like some intern who like did the math and was like, yo, you know what we're just like missing? Kind of like when like Goliath came out. I was like, yo, this card doesn't exist
like,
yet,
what?
right? Like, what are we doing? Dragon Lord, honestly, is essentially like, it's funny they actually created Red Wing before this. Isn't that kind of funny?
It's like, it's the meme of like the guy who's just like walking straight forward, and then below it is a guy doing gymnastics to arrive at a different conclusion. That's kind of what this is. This is just the guy walking straight forward. Red Wing is the one where it's just like, look at all this stuff you have to do, and you can get this. It's like, why doesn't this card exist?
But then again, Red Wing is literally 2 costs less, right? But you need to like do the thing to get the effect, right? This here, and given how good Ramp has become over the last little bit with like Chamber, obviously Ramp being what it is, I actually think this might be pretty good for a Series 4. Like, I don't think this is a throwaway Series 4 card. I'm leaning in like the 3-star range. I'm like, this is probably fine. Might actually lean good, because if you're thinking about it, those War Machine decks, we were just joking before, they're playing Infinite. Pulling Infinite with this ain't a bad idea, right? Like, really, even pulling War Machine, you miss Infinite, but you pull War Machine down, that ain't bad. You know what I mean? Then you just play the Infinite after.
Foom.
Exactly, right? I think this is probably pretty good. I might even be low at 3 stars.
I think it's a pretty good card. My worry is largely like, what does this card cost you in deck building, right? What is it that you are putting in your deck in order to facilitate the inclusion of this card? What are you losing out on? Because let's say you play Dragon Lord, right? Okay, you want to play Fang Foom, you want to play Giganto. Now you have a lot more big guys and a lot less like Legion, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Enchantress type stuff, right? Like, is that the right thing to do? Is that important to the deck at the time? Are the points being a little bit higher, winning the mirror? Is that a good enough thing to do? What is this going to cost you to do? But like, imagine playing this card and then blinking it. This is a bunch of points. Like, that is a lot. Whole lot of points. I buy that this could be a very real card. I just worry that it'll make its own deck more one-dimensional and points only. And I think a lot of what makes Ramp good is that it's not just that. It's a points deck that has Cosmic Ghost Rider, Enchantress, Legion. It almost exists in the same space as Arishem, where it interacts with you despite putting a bunch of points on the board. I worry that losing that makes it just another numbers deck, which weirdly makes it worse positioned rather than better.
Really interesting. That's a very interesting idea there, because it's like, I was actually thinking, okay, you play the Electro, you play the Blink, you pull this out, pull something else down. But you're saying, okay, well, you could even just do this. You can literally play this and then play the Blink, and you're guaranteeing a chunk coming out. You're guaranteeing the Giganto, the Infinite, whatever it is in your deck, right? Oh, man, you're right.
Man, we didn't even talk about this for Fang, dude. We didn't even talk about this for Fang, but like any 6 is Fang if you blink it. Didn't even think about that.
That's true. Yeah. I will say, though, this does say put versus play. So that might have an impact on something. So on reveals shouldn't proc, right? So like Dr. Doom won't work.
That's a great question.
I would assume, because it's putting, not playing it, that like a on reveal effect won't happen.
I will choose to believe you, because I don't think I have a better idea.
Yeah. Sometimes like it's like the verbiage makes a difference, and Snap is like really specific with that stuff. It's just something that came to mind. I'm not sure, but honestly, I think that this card might surprise to the upside.
Yeah, I buy that. I would say this is a 3-star card with plenty of room to get better. It's just my worry is that too much of a good thing, right? Like once you become a deck that is fully about let's cheat numbers into play and not about interacting with people, well, then you have to compete with all the other decks that are cheating numbers into play. And are you going to be the best at that? I worry that you're taking a deck that is one of the best at being a points and interaction deck and making it a deck that is one of the midst at points. And that would be my worry for Dragon Lord. Like, I think it's probably a powerful card, but it changes the context of the deck in ways that I'm not sure I'd want to.
You know what? I got to be honest with you, Cam. I'm confused because you just finished talking about emotes and how you don't want to interact with people. Now you're talking about how you want to interact. So now I'm kind of a little confused here. For the record, with Dragon Lord, I'm going to revise to 3.5. I actually going to go 3.5. I think it's probably better, especially as a Series 4. And last season, we talked about Marrow. Marrow. Damn it. Morrow.
No,
you're wrong. Bro, see?
Right, I thought you were doing harder. A bit.
I wasn't doing a bit. I'm actually confused.
I was intentionally giving you the wrong information because I thought you were doing a bit.
I wasn't doing a bit.
I thought you were like, oh, I'm going to do this, man. I'll tell you the wrong thing, and then it'll be funny. You were actually looking for the pronunciation there.
I was actually looking for the pronunciation.
Marrow.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. But anyhow, guys, I have no idea how long this is. Are we over 2 hours now? It could potentially be over 2 hours.
We split the recording. It's probably about 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is, you know how I know we went on way too long, Cam? So there's a thing that if you look very closely, sometimes you notice when like we're on camera and you try not to yawn, but you're yawning, but you're on camera. So like, you did that like once or twice. Oh, the thing where you go like. Yeah, and like hopefully no one really notices. Like one of the tricks of the trade that like you're like, yo, I'm yawning, but I don't want to be like, I don't want to just like yawn on camera. But this has been a long one.
Faking it there made me do a real one.
I did notice that too. So if you're looking for what the real one actually looks like after Cam's fake one, you have the evidence right there. Just go back about 15 seconds there. You'll be just fine. But Cam, man, I got to say thank you so much for joining today. Guys, this has been both unhinged, but also incredibly informative. And I got to tell you, man, it's really refreshing to be able to talk to someone who has the skill level you have. And I love this because I come into the Snapchats, I try to be as prepared as possible, but you not only push that by giving me new things to think about, but sometimes, like as a quarterback in the NFL, and you like football, right? You're catching what I'm throwing, and I appreciate that. I mean, you got the hands of Larry Fitzgerald when it comes to Marvel Snap. Is that a good callback or no?
That's a great one. I mean, that's some of the best hands you could possibly have. One of the nicest things anyone could say about me is that I'm a good riffing partner. The Larry Fitzgerald of riffing. That's crazy.
Well, I'm glad you like it, dude. Anyhow, let us know where we can find you on all forms of social media, my man.
YouTube, KMBEST in a Snap. I have a secondary channel that I release a podcast on, which, in case you haven't picked up on, very riff and divergence heavy podcast that I do with Jerry Thompson, a professional Magic the Gathering player. I also do a show on there called No More Mutants, which is a hardcore ripoff of No More Jockeys, Alex Horn, Mark Watson, and Tim Key's show. Alex Horn, of course, the creator of Taskmaster, one of the greatest shows ever made. I've been trying to do Snap Taskmaster for a million years. I cannot figure out how to do it, so I copied a different show that he made, which is a fun little Marvel Snap style game show. I do it with Butt and Husky Puppies. You can check that out. Releases of those are going to be on Fridays. The podcast is going to be on Mondays. Of course, on YouTube, I do 7 days a week of Marvel Snap, high-level Marvel Snap content, some Marvel Yap, just generally a Marvel Snap daily YouTube channel. On Twitter, which I will not call X, you can find me on @KMBESTMS. I occasionally post memes that I copied from other people who are much funnier than me in my Discord. That's where I will be. You can also find me on Twitch occasionally. I think I should be back streaming much more regularly again. Twitch, KMBESTMS. And I know if you've watched 2 hours of this, you're probably already a big fan of Alex here, but you should really be a bigger fan of Alex. When I am able to do a show like this, it is so nice knowing that I can be the person that I am and sort of admit to the faults that I have and sort of put those on Front Street in a way that is not even necessarily not like it's not judged, it's just put out there and accepted. And I think that's a really, really great environment to cultivate. It's one of the things that when I talk about like being a professionally jealous, one of the things I'm most professionally jealous of is just who you are as a person and how kind and nice and able to just navigate through situations with such grace that it's just something I would like to be better at, something that I truly appreciate about how you carry yourself that I would like to take away from this if possible, which I won't. I am a whiny baby man child and I will remain a whiny baby man child, but I will try to be better than an Alex Lynn.
I appreciate that more than you can imagine, my man. That actually means a lot to me, and trust me, I hold you in the absolute highest regard. I think that you're an absolutely incredible creator, and it took far too long to get you here, and I hope that everyone can see why KMBEST was by far the most requested guest for the Snapchat. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. All of Cam's information will be down linked below. We'll see you on the next one.